I'm so honored to be here with you guys today. Subhanallah, when I walked in, I felt this sense like there's something about being around younger Muslims that really motivates me to like do more and do better and be a better Muslim myself. So I don't know what kind of hearts you guys are coming in here with, but whatever you guys are, it's helping me want to be better. So Jazakallah khair for just being you. Jazakallah khair for coming to the masjid when you could be anywhere else right now. Um, so I appreciate you guys. I really do. So thank you so much. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Like rearranging everything here. Sorry. Okay. So today, inshallah, our topic is, we're preparing for Ramadan. How many of you guys are excited about Ramadan? You can't not put your hand up, right? You're like, what a jerk. They're not excited about Ramadan. How many of you guys are nervous about Ramadan too? I got my hands up. I'm a little nervous, right? How many of you guys are anticipating the hunger and the fatigue and all that? How are you guys are like, I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous about that, right? Okay. How many of you guys are looking forward to Taraweeh? Right? It's amazing. It's like a party every night, and it's like party that's good for your heart, right? It's amazing. So, subhanAllah, this month is coming, and it's coming real quick. I feel like we just finished last Ramadan. It flew by so quickly, subhanAllah. And of course, every year comes, alhamdulillah, we're blessed to be here still, to exist. Inshallah, may Allah allow us to enter Ramadan and exit Ramadan purified and forgiven of all our sins, Ya Rabbil Alameen. So today we're going to talk a little bit about preparing for Ramadan. And I'm going to focus about Salah. I'm going to focus on Salah. Because what better way to prepare for this beautiful month than to work on our Salah and to really reflect on what is our Salah and how do we engage better in our Salah. Okay. I'm going to start with just a story. So there's this guy I follow on Instagram. I don't know what his name is, but he goes by MD Motivator. Okay, sounds like a DJ, but he's not. Okay, so he does one thing in these videos, and I love watching it because it's so inspiring and it's amazing. He goes around giving away money to people. You see, like there's a whole bunch of people who do this, right? So he'll just walk up to someone or go into like a bakery and he'll talk to the people like, how are you doing? Business is real slow. We're really struggling. And he'll say, how much for, all the donuts in the shop? And they're like, are you kidding? And he's like, no, really, how much? So he'll give them way more money than the donuts, are worth. And then he'll say, look, we're going to go give this out, for example, to the homeless, right? There are other videos where he comes up to like a kid and he says, do you like basketball? And the kid's like, yeah, I'm obsessed with basketball. And he's like, how would you like? And this kid is, their parents are struggling and they're not doing well financially. And he'll tell him, I want to give you $1,000, or you could give money to people shopping in this store. And almost every time the kid will say, I'd rather give the money away. So the kid and this MD motivator guy are in like a Walmart or something. And he has the little kid who might be like 12 or 9 or something, go up to people at the store and say, I want to give you $100. And then they hug them, they're crying, and everyone has some story. Some of these people who receive the money, they're like, I'm suffering with cancer and this is going to help me. I need rent for my apartment and now this money is going to go towards that. And then after this kid finishes giving out the $1,000 that he let go of, the guy, MD Motivator, tells him, how would you like to go to a basketball game? So he has tickets for whatever game, whatever team this kid loves. He takes him to the game, and the kid gets to meet the players that he loves, right? And how excited is this child when this happens? He also does this with people when he'll say, like, there's a concert happening. Do you love this, singing group or this musician? And they're like, oh my God, we love them. And he'll take them on a trip there. They get to see the singer and meet them in the back and talk to them and spend a little time with them, right? Now, I want to transition to something which may seem unrelated, but just stay with me, inshallah. I want to ask you guys, What is a beautiful place you've gone on vacation to? Like a natural place. I don't want to hear like Universal Studios or Disney. Like that's fine. But I'm asking like what's a place like a location you've been to where the water is just breathtaking, the mountains, the whatever. Tell me, you guys tell me. Put your hand up if you want to share. Somewhere you visited that you thought was amazing. Yes. Florida. What did you love about Florida? What was the natural thing there that you loved? The beaches. How many of you guys love beautiful beaches? Okay, awesome. Yes, Palm Springs. Wow. And what was like, what stood out there? Oh, wow. That's amazing. Subhanallah. A beautiful waterfall. What about on this side? In the back? Mecca. Okay, no one else can answer now after that, right? Okay, what did you love about Mecca? What was the part of nature that you loved about it? The mountain. The mountains in Saudi are scary. They're so amazing. They're amazing. Like I went there once and I was like telling my husband, I'm like, look at the mountain. They're like rocks. They're just crazy. Subhanallah. Yes. And someone else over here. Yes, in the blue hijab. Mexico. What did you love about there? The water? Okay, beautiful. How many of you guys on a beautiful summer day will look up at the sky and the sky looks stunning, even from where we're at? We don't have to spend thousands. How many of you guys see the sky as beautiful? Okay, awesome. I homeschool my kids. My kids are 9 and 11. And we've been reading about outer space lately. And I'm obsessed with outer space, like abnormally obsessed. I think it's the most amazing thing in the world just to think about and look at. And it's so stunning. And we're learning about the sun and how, if it gets a little bit closer to the earth will burn. And if it was just a little further away, it'll freeze. And just all these things about outer space. I was so obsessed with outer space once. I literally looked, this was a few years ago. I looked up what does it take to be an astronaut? I'm like, I could go to space. هم أحسن مني. They're not better than me going to space and I'm sitting here at home. And I looked, I'm like, I wonder if they'll let me go with my abaya. And I'm like looking up stuff. So when you think of outer space, it's mind-boggling, right? How many of you guys like going to what's the museum for space in Chicago? Yes, the planetarium. How many of you guys like going there? Oh, okay. I'm the only nerd. Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful, right? Okay, so I have a question now. Who is someone you admire? And we all admire the Prophet ﷺ. We want to meet him. We love him, alayhi salatu wasalam. And the Sahaba. So those are covered. But after that, like someone who's not necessarily, they could be a religious figure, they could be anybody. Someone who maybe has a skill that you really admire. Someone who does, has a service that they offer. Who's someone that you admire or look up to? My mom. Oh, that's so beautiful, mashallah. Why do you look up to your mom? Mashallah. That's beautiful. So she does so much with all her heart, right? What else? Who's somebody you look up to that you would love to meet? Yeah. Yes. Muhammad who? Hoblos? Okay. You like him. You like his talks and stuff? MashaAllah. So you'd love to meet him. Would you love to like ask him questions and pick his brain, right? Okay, that would be amazing. Who else? Guys, stay with me. Yes. Abu Ubaidah. Allah yahmihum ya Rab, right? Would you like to spend time with him and ask him questions, pick his brain? Yeah. What's the likelihood of being able to catch these people? It's not super impossible, but it's hard, correct? It's hard. That's okay. I'm not putting you guys, that's beautiful. Yes, in the back. Amany Suleiman. Okay. Can you just, do you have him on your phone? Can you just call him and text him right now? No, right? Because we don't have access, right? But he's amazing, right? You can Instagram him, right? All right. Who else? Who's someone that you would love to, that you admire and would love to meet? Yes. Yeah, all the people in Gaza. How many guys would love to meet the people in Gaza and give them a big hug, right? Allah ya Rab iftaha alayhum. Who else, you guys? Give me two more. One from the guy's side, one from the girl's side. Someone who didn't answer. Yes. Imam al-Shafi'i, right? Would you love to have been able to talk to him or ask him questions, right? Beautiful. On this side, give me one more. No? Nobody wants to meet anyone? Yes. Who? Dr. Haifa Yunus. Okay, awesome. And again, is it easy or hard to connect with them? Like to be able to spend time with them, have like imagine you have 5 days with them by yourself, you just get to talk to them and ask them questions. It's hard, right? Now, when you think about, so guys, I'm hearing like murmur. I would rather you guys, even if like it's hard to pay attention, if you could just keep it quiet, I would really appreciate that. Jazakallah khair. So if you could think about people who you would love to talk to, love to spend time with, love to get advice from, right? I think sometimes about my uncle, Allah yarhamu, who passed away when I was 12, or I was 13 when he died, Allah yarhamu. I miss him so much. Like, I wish I could see him now as an adult. Like, I could talk to him like adult to adult, because I was a kid back then. So I hope we get to Jannah. I hope he's there and I can have conversations with him, right? But subhanAllah, when you think about people that you admire, who are difficult to get in touch with, who may be impossible to spend time with, they don't have time for you, right? Not out of meanness, but they don't. You don't have access to them. But you admire what they've done, right? You admire who they are. Now, I want you guys to listen to this ayah, or these ayat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وهو الذي مد الأرض وجعل فيها رواسي وأنهارا. And Allah, He is the one who spread out the earth and placed firm mountains and rivers upon it. ومن كل الثمرات جعل فيها زوجين اثنين. And created fruits of every kind in pairs. إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. Oh, sorry, I missed something. يغشي الليل النهار إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. He covers the day with night. Surely in this are signs for those who reflect. Question. When we look at the sky and really pay attention to the sky, right? When we're sitting in the back seat of our parents' cars, put our phone down for 5 minutes. It's hard for me to put my phone down too. I hate my phone and I love it at the same time. Really, I feel abused by my phone, bsaraha, right? I feel like it abuses me because I'm like, I need my phone. So we're all like this. It's not like, oh, you guys are young, you guys are addicted. We're all addicted to our phones, okay? We all need help, okay? So if you are in the backseat of your mom or dad's car and you're sitting there, put your phone down, time it. Time it on your phone for 5 minutes and just stare outside. Stare outside, look at the sky, notice the trees. Look at the trees and say, oh, look, there are no leaves on the trees right now. Because Allah talks about this in the Quran where He lets the leaves fall and they die. And then what happens in the spring, you'll notice they come back to life. And Allah tells us, and the same thing will happen to us. We're living, then there's a fall season where we will die. And just the same way that Allah brings back the trees in the spring, Allah will resurrect us in the akhirah. And we will answer to Him. But there's another way Allah resurrects us or brings us back to life. Sometimes we go through difficult times. We go through sadness. We might go through depression. We might feel, up and down, especially during this thing with Gaza going on, right? There's a lot going on inside of us. There's only one who can pull us out of that. Because Allah tells us, look at the leaves, they fall, and I bring it back to life. If you feel internally, emotionally dried up and shriveled up like the trees that you see on LaGrange right now that have no leaves, we feel that way sometimes, right? If you feel that way, looking at the trees and knowing that the spring will come and the leaves will come back is a way for us to feel hopeful about our condition. I will feel better. Things will get better, inshallah. Because it always does. It always does. Even if we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel right now, it's there. Allah can see it. We don't see it. We just hold on, we maintain our patience, and we push through. So if you're sitting in that back seat of the car and you're looking outside, then you get to see the trees and think about it. You get to look at the trees and look at the animals that are faffetling and running around, right? Jumping, the little squirrels, they're like jumping from tree to tree. It never gets old, you guys. It never gets old. You could be 2 and you'll go, oh, squirrel, right? And you could be 52 and you're like, oh, look at the squirrel. Same thing. Because you know why? Because someone we admire more than anyone else on earth, anyone else in existence, created that, right? When you look at the sky, when the weather is changed, it's about to rain. Wow, the sky's dark now. Don't just focus on how annoying it is because now you can't go outside or like it's a little scary. It's amazing. It is absolutely breathtaking, even when there's a storm. It's stunning. But if we're not looking, we'll miss it, right? Look at, the trees, look at the water. And then you don't have to go too far. Look in the mirror. Allah says, وَلَقَدْ لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. That indeed we created mankind in the best form. Allah literally designed you as you are perfectly. Perfectly. Social media is dumb. Okay? What they tell you you're supposed to look like, supposed to be like, they're dumb. Okay? But you know why? Because who are they talking against? Like, what do you mean I'm supposed to look like that? But Allah, the creator of all this, literally chose your eyes, chose your nose, chose your cheeks, chose your hair. You are perfect as you are, subhanallah. Right? And wouldn't you love to meet the one who created you? Wouldn't it be so cool if you could just get some time with Allah, the one who created that sky that we get to stare at, the one who created the sun, that if it comes a little closer, goes a little further, we're gone. Wouldn't it be amazing to spend time with the one who created all the different animals in the world, all the different plants and flowers, all the different fruits? Can you imagine, you guys, if all we had to eat, like, who's had a protein shake? Yeah? Okay. Some of them taste like the deserts of Arabia. Okay. Some of them are disgusting, and then other ones are okay. I've never had a protein shake and I'm like, this tastes like cheesecake. They said it's going to taste like cheesecake, and it totally does. It doesn't taste like cheesecake. Right? It doesn't taste like cheesecake, right? But it would sustain you if you just had protein shakes for the rest of your life with the vitamins and minerals, you'd be fine. But Allah didn't give us something that tastes. He gave us strawberries. He gave us roman, bananas, right? He gave us almonds. Almonds grow from the ground. What the heck? Right? We don't think about this stuff. We're just like almonds, and we're just like eating, right? But think about everything that we eat. Cocoa, the cocoa bean is from Allah. Okay, to make chocolate. Okay, that chocolate's amazing. Chocolate is like a sample of Jannah to me. How many guys love chocolate? Yeah. If you don't love it, it's okay. We love you still, but chocolate's amazing, right? All of these things Allah made just so we could enjoy it, right? Oh my God, can I meet this being that created all this? Can I get some time with him? Wouldn't it be you created a hummingbird, ya Allah? You guys ever seen a hummingbird fly? I feel like it's showing off. I'm like, okay, now you're just showing off. You're so majestic, hummingbird. The wings flap, I don't know, like 200 times a second or something like that. They're stunning. The thing that I feel even looks fake, astaghfirullah al-azim, is a seahorse. Have you guys seen seahorses? I'm like, this is out of like, Harry Potter. Like, what is this? It's a horse swimming in the. I'm like, can I touch it so I know it's real? I'm like, is this mechanical? Allah gave us seahorses. Can I meet this one being who created seahorse? Can I get in touch with him? So what does Allah do? Allah allows us 24/7 access to him at any given moment. Any given moment. And by the way, before we talk about salah, you have access to Allah right now. You have access to Allah just in your head. Ya Allah, you know what I'm struggling with, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, you know I keep trying to stop doing this sin, but I can't. I'm having a hard time, Ya Allah. You know. And you know my weakness, Ya Allah. You can have a whole conversation with Allah sitting here with us now. And he'll listen to you and you and you and me and you and you and you all equally at the same time. Full access 24/7 with the most important being, the most popular being, subhanahu wa ta'ala, who exists. It's not some famous actor or some president or some leader or even like our favorite shuyukh and speakers. It is the creator of all of those people. It's the creator of the earth that we walk on. It's the creator of the one who made an earth that fits our design perfectly. When we eat plants, when we eat anything, greens or lettuce or broccoli, those nutrients literally are designed to go into our bodies and nourish us. Who designed it so it fits us perfectly? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can I meet him? Yes. And what does Allah do so that we are meeting him for sure? Because he doesn't need us to meet him, we need him. What does he do? He makes it mandatory that we meet with him 5 times a day. Imagine, you mentioned you'd love to meet Amany Suleiman. All of us would love to meet Amany Suleiman and sit with him and ask him questions. Imagine he's like, you know what? You have to meet with me 5 times a day. You'd be like, oh, that's amazing, right? But he's not going to do that. He doesn't have time. He can't. It's impossible. But here's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's above everything. And he makes it, you know what? You guys need to come meet with me. You're coming to Allah's office, subhanahu wa ta'ala, so to speak, 5 times a day. So when we stand in salah, when we're about to start prayer, I want us to think about salah as something we get to do, not something we have to do. Right? And I'll tell my kids when I remind them to pray, I'll say to them, Yalla mama, you have to pray Salat al-Dhuhr. When I remember not to say, I say, Mama, come on, you get to pray Salat al-Dhuhr. Right? Do you see the mindset shift that makes? If I say, you have to eat chocolate ice cream, you're like, okay, force me all day. Ahla, ahla. Right? But if I say, you get to get ice cream today, you're like, woo! Right? It's a privilege. It's exciting. You get to meet with the one who gave you sight. You get to meet with the one who gave you parents. You get to meet with the one who allowed you to live in a safe place where you could, express yourself and follow your religion freely. You get to meet with the one who gave us food and all sorts of food and clothing and technology and all sorts of things. You get to meet the one who allowed you to be born Muslim. Or you get to meet the one who allowed you to find Islam later. You get to meet him at least 5 times a day, at least. So when we stand there in salah, we have to remember who we're meeting with, right? If we were going to meet someone that's very popular, very famous, I don't think we'd be on our phones like, oh, yeah, what'd you say? Yeah, that's interesting. No, we'd be like this, right? Our eyes completely fixated on them. Our hearts, our minds, our ears are completely listening, right? So we want to keep that in mind, inshallah. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have struggles when it comes to salah. How many people feel like they struggle with salah in some way? I'm putting my hand up. Okay. There are 2 things that I could think of. There are many ways we could struggle in salah. 2 major things that a lot of us struggle with in salah. Number 1 is just making our salahs, all 5 of them. Okay? And I'm not going to ask who struggles with that, but you know who you are, and it's okay. It is okay if you struggle with salah. You're not a scumbag. You're a human being who struggles with something. Okay? And I want you to see yourself that way, because shaitan wants you to feel like a bad Muslim. You're not a bad Muslim. You're trying, and that's all that matters. Okay? And you'll get there, inshallah. But the first struggle is just making the salahs. The second struggle is, can anyone guess what I'm thinking? Yes. Paying attention. How many, I'm going to ask this one. I'm going to put my hand up first. How many of you guys struggle with paying attention in their salah? Okay. How many of you guys come up with the best ideas during salah? Yeah, it's horrible. I'm like, shaitan, you little devil. حل عني, right? Leave me alone, right? In salah, sometimes I'm thinking, like before salah, I'll be thinking about something, I can't figure it out. Allahu Akbar. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what, okay, got it, Where's the salah, ya Amany, right? So we struggle with focus in our salah, okay? So I'm going to talk about those two things, inshallah, in the time that's left, and how we can, inshallah, better it. The first thing, which is if you struggle praying your 5 daily prayers, I want you, so we have what? How many days left before Ramadan? Like 15? Okay, so something 13, 14, 15, something like that. You have 2 weeks almost to start warming up, right? Warming up your salah engines. If you struggle with your 5 daily prayers, meaning sometimes you pray, sometimes you miss it, sometimes you miss all of them, maybe the only time you pray is when you come to the masjid, right? That's wonderful that you pray at the masjid. If anyone or shaitan comes and tells you, oh, now you're going to pray, don't even bother. Be like, I ain't got time for this, okay? Yes, I'm praying right now. I know somebody who years ago, they didn't pray their 5 prayers, but they would pray random 2 rak'ahs because that's all they could do. And they would pray 2 rak'ahs in different times, different whatever, and their dua was always answered. I was like, what the heck? I'm like, excuse me, could you please make dua for me? Right? MashaAllah, their dua was always answered. I'm not encouraging you to be like, oh, the lady said I need to pray 2 rak'ahs. I'm not encouraging that. But this is where he was at. Now he prays his 5, right? So you pray. Whatever you're praying, keep that up. If you struggle with the 5, start with 1 or add another one if you're already doing 1 salah, and make sure you do that for the next 5 days. You will not miss that salah no matter what. Whether you have basketball practice, you're at school, after school for some activity, you're out at the mall or shopping, you stop and you pray somewhere. Even if you're going to pray sitting. I mean, I get a fatwa from a sheikh about that, okay? But make sure you make your salah. All right? And just one more. After 5 days, add another one. This is all in preparation for Ramadan. Add another one and start with the easiest one. Don't start with the hardest. You're like, I'm going to be a good Muslim. I'm going to start with the hardest one. Let's start with the easiest one. We ain't got time for the hardest right now. Okay? Just get your engines going. So for the next 5 days, now you're praying 2 salahs. Now after those 10 days, add a third one. The next easiest one. Pray those for 5 days. By the time Ramadan hits, you're already now praying the 5 prayers. And if you miss here and there, oh well, it's okay. Astaghfirullah, ya Rab, please forgive me. I'm trying. I'm going to keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep praying. Okay? Just keep praying. And even if you don't, let's say you're like, I can't do all 5. Just add 1 now, and then Ramadan comes, keep adding. Push yourself, you guys. And it's okay. You're going to keep falling. You're going to keep making mistakes. You're supposed to. You're not supposed to be perfect. So do your best. That's all I'm really going to talk about with that. The second part is khushu'. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. And seek help through patience and prayer. And indeed, it is difficult except for the humbly submissive to Allah, those with khushu'. Now, when you think of khushu', you think of focus. You think that you're like completely focused and you're humble in front of Allah. Now, salah is the epitome of humility. Being humble, knowing that you are, you're not all that in a bag of chips. I know that's like from the 90s, but it's okay. You guys can learn things from the 90s. You're not like this, oh, I'm everything. It's the opposite of arrogance, right? We want to be confident, but we don't want to be arrogant. So what about salah makes us humble? First of all, think about the actions in salah. When you start off, right, when you think of a humble person, do you think of a person who's like standing like this? Or someone who's standing like this, right? Or just like, kind of neutral, right? If you see someone staring at you like dirty look, or someone who's kind of like not really looking and just like a little bit up and down, which one seems humble, A or B? B, right? In salah, where are we looking? Am I standing like this in salah? No, I'm standing like this, right? I'm humble. And then I get a little more humble because I go into ruku', right? A little more humble. I'm lowering myself just a little more. And then I stand back up. And then I get super humble, My face, the thing that Allah has said is so beautiful and so it's considered in Islam an important part, right, of our body. Our face. Our face is placed on the ground. We are showing Allah in our actions that I am here to listen to you, Ya Allah. With all my mistakes and all my khababis and everything that I do that's not right, I'm trying. I'm here. Every time we make sujood, we're hitting the ground. The ground is a symbol for dirt. Sah? Right? It dust, dirt. What were we created from? Dirt. What will we become when we die? Dirt. In that moment of sujood, I remember I am created from dirt. I will go back to dirt. So I should not treat people badly because I think I'm better. No matter what we own materialistically, no matter what abilities we have, no matter any of the blessings, we are not better than anyone, but nor are we to put ourselves down. It's not about putting ourselves down. It's about humbling ourselves in front of Allah and with each other. In Surah Al-Kahf, there's this beautiful story about a man who owns this amazing garden, right? This guy is loaded. He has this beautiful vineyard. Can you guys imagine this huge vineyard where every single tree produces fruit 100%? If you've ever had a garden in your backyard, maybe your mom or dad has one, nothing produces 100%. I grew like tomatoes last year. They were like they were, I don't know what the heck they were, right? So this guy, every tree had fruit on it. Every single tree. He had a little river in the middle. Everything was perfect. And what did he do? He took credit for this. He acted like, of course I have this. Of course I deserve it. And he got so sucked in to this Forever 21 mentality that everything good will come to me forever. He was like, I don't even believe that there's a day of judgment. How many times, you guys, when we get caught up in like the things we have, we kind of forget about the day of judgment? I'm putting my hand up. How many of you guys feel this way? You kind of lose track of, oh my God, there is a day of judgment. I'm going to be asked, right? This guy completely rejected the day of judgment, right? And he said, and if there's a day of judgment, I'll still get everything I need. I'll still be rewarded, right? The epitome of arrogance. Who else was in the epitome of arrogance? When you think of Musa alayhi salam, who was the villain in Musa's story? Fir'aun, right? He's like the top head honcho of arrogance, right? What did Fir'aun tell Haman? He told him, build me a ladder so I could see the Lord of Musa. He wasn't actually curious about the Lord of Musa. He's being like sarcastic. He's making jokes. And even when the poets became Muslim, when they saw that Musa's staff, the snake ate up theirs, what did Fir'aun say? He said, you guys believed in him before I gave you permission. Get a life, bro. Get a life. And then when Musa alayhi salam opens up the sea and Fir'aun charges through, still going after him. Oh, he opened up this, there's a path. Let's go kill him. They're going after Musa and the water's coming. And guess who's trying to say La ilaha illallah now? Fir'aun. Too late, honey. It's too late. You're so arrogant. You're so arrogant. Now that's Fir'aun, and inshallah, none of us are like that. But we have to ask ourselves, what part of my heart feels arrogance? What part of my heart, when I hear a command from Allah or something that the Prophet ﷺ is telling us to do or encouraging us to do, what part of me is like, I mean, that's fine, but I'm good. What part of us, or what part of us is actually like, sami'na wa ata'na as best as we can? Meaning, we heard and we obeyed, right? Allah tells us to have taqwa of Allah as best as we can, to have fear and to protect ourselves from Allah's displeasure and punishment as best as we can. And so our job is to keep trying and try just a little bit harder. So when we stand up in salah, I want us to try doing this. Two things that I hope that we could take with us practically. Before we get to salah, salah is about humility. It's about standing up in front of Allah and telling Allah, Ya Allah, I'm here to obey you. Ya Allah, I'm your servant, I'm your slave, and you are my master. I'm weak and you are strong. You help me because I need help. I can't do any of this by myself, Ya Allah. Even if you feel like you can, tell Allah, I can't do this without you because you can't. The only reason we could do anything is because Allah allowed us to have brains that function, limbs that move, eyes that see, ears that hear. If we didn't have any of these things, or even if we're missing some of it, right? Even if, like, we get injured or something, you still have a million other faculties that Allah has given us. So we're saying, Ya Allah, I can't do this without you. So how do we enter salah with humility? We practice humility outside of our salah. How do we practice humility? With our mother. When she asks us to do something for the 80th time, and you're like, oh, Ya Bai, Allah sabbirni ya Rab, right? You're making dua that Allah puts patience in your heart, right? Can we be irritated by our parents? Yes or no? I mean, do we get irritated by our parents? Yes. If you get irritated, is it okay? Is it okay if you feel irritated? It's okay if you feel it. Are you allowed to show it to them? No. So you got to deal with your irritation. You got to take some breaths. You got to say, you got to think of, oh, okay, I'm just going to help her out. I'm just going to help Baba out, right? Or I'm going to tell them how I feel, but respectfully, right? If you have something to say, you feel like something's not fair, you can share that, but respectfully, right? That's where we show humility outside of our salah. So by the time we're in salah, wow, I'm just naturally feeling humility inside of myself. We show humility on the basketball court, right? I know there's some fun trash talking, right? And that's okay, right? It's the intention behind that. But beyond that, if it's out on you, you say it's out on me, right? I've seen too many times where, like, so when I'll play sometimes with my friends and we're just like, oh no, it was my fault. And there's no, it's your fault. Like, we're blaming ourselves before anything because, we're older and we don't care. But I see, like, a lot of young people, they get so angry and they just don't want to, they don't want it to be out on their team, even if it is. But here's where humility comes in. Honesty is humility. So be humble on the court so that when you enter salah, your body's used to it. Your heart is used to it. Be humble when someone wrongs you. Can you address it? Absolutely, address it. But do you want to go up to them and be like, well, your mama is so this, that blah, blah. Relax, right? Even addressing, if we're hurt by somebody, addressing them with humility as much as we can. Or saying sorry when we mess up is humble. So let's try to be humble outside of salah so that once we get there, it's already part of us. It's kind of like an Olympics athlete not training all year, showing up to the Olympics and kayfa halo, right? He's so excited about himself, so proud. What are you doing? You didn't do one push-up, right? The Olympics athlete would never do this, never. But what do? They train and train and train so that by the time they get there, they have all this muscle memory. We want spiritual heart memory. We want to train our hearts. So we have to check ourselves where we're not being humble so that we have that muscle when we need it. The second thing, real quick, inshallah, is that in our salah, there's so many ways we could increase our khushu'. But the second thing I want to share with you is memorize the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha. Memorize every single word, right? Most of us, if not all of us in this room, most of us, Arabic is maybe a second language, maybe. Barely, right? Barely. But this is a surah, it's a short surah, it's a surah we read 17 times a day when we're doing our fard. Memorize what alhamdu means. Memorize what iyyaka means. Na'budu, nasta'een. Memorize those words individually and understand, listen to the tafsir of the entire surah. In fact, I would love to give that as an assignment for this week. Not this week, for the next 2 weeks before Ramadan starts, for each and every single one of us. Even if you know what it means, like I know what it means, go over it. and make flashcards. Make flashcards for each and every single word in Surah Al-Fatiha. And if you have time, maybe for Salat al-Isha when you're home, look through the flashcards before you start your Salah. How many of you guys can commit to making flashcards for Surah Al-Fatiha? Beautiful. I got one person. Awesome. Boys, I need a few more. Amazing in the back. Okay. I love your honesty. I appreciate it. How many can commit to trying? Beautiful. I love the honesty, mashallah. جزاك الله خير guys. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر آمين يا رب العالمين. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows all of us to have more khushu' in our prayer, to have more humility in our prayer and outside of our prayer, to have more humility with Allah, with the people around us, towards the Prophet ﷺ, and for Allah to allow us to gain knowledge and wisdom and guidance, Ya Allah, that only He can provide. May Allah give it to all of us, Ya Rabb, and may Allah allow us to maintain it and keep building and building and be better and better. Jazakallah khair, everybody. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah khair, Ustadha Amany Suleiman, for that heartfelt. That is, subhanAllah, what you said about that mindset shift was that, what we get to do salah, not I have to go pray, I get to pray, which I thought was very beautiful and heart touching. But we do have some questions that are coming in from the crowd. Many of them you touched on about the khushu', understanding the words, the tafsir behind, Surah Al-Fatiha. But what are some more tips about, increasing the khushu' during our prayers or different acts of ibadah, different acts of worship?
Yeah. So one thing I can share about that is when we know why we're doing something, it pushes us to do more of it, right? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us about why? He says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. That I have not created jinn and mankind except for one purpose, and that is to worship Allah, to enslave ourselves to Allah. So when we know why we're praying, when we know the reason we're praying, it helps us to have khushu'. Why do we pray? I'm asking you guys. Because what? I heard something. Why do we pray? Yes. To worship Allah. Beautiful. What else? Yes. To remember Allah. It's actually the best form of remembrance. One of the best forms of remembrance. Beautiful. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Musa. Oh my God, you're so cool, mashallah. You're amazing. What else? To show gratitude. Beautiful. Why else do we pray? Yes. For ourselves. What do you mean by that? I love that, but I just want to hear more from you. Beautiful. To feel peace, to get guidance, right? Amazing. Yes. To be grateful, right? Beautiful. How did we get our salah, guys? How did we receive the command for salah? Was it revealed to the Prophet ﷺ when he was in Mecca or Medina? No, where was he? He was right, the furthest that anyone had ever traveled, and the closest that anyone has ever been to who? Allah. Allah did not decide to send down the revelation about salah. He had it so that the Prophet ﷺ had to take this beautiful journey. He had to come to him so that he could tell him, go tell your people, pray 50 times a day. And he came down and Musa's like, alayhi salam, they're not going to do it. Go back and ask for less. Prophet alayhi salam went back, asked for less, reduced by 5. He goes back down to Musa. Musa's like, they're not going to do it. Trust me. Go back, ask for less. He went back a few times, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came back to Musa and said, 5 times. Musa said, they're not going to do it. Go back. He's like, I'm shy. I can't go back. And what did Allah decide? That do 5 and they will count as if you did 50. Right? Salah is our connection to Allah. Salah comes from the word sila, which means connection. You guys ever hear like bida waslak ala whatever al madrasa? I'm going to connect you to school. It's kind of that same root word, sila, right? So our connection to Allah is through salah. We need it. We need it. So when we're feeling down or when we're feeling happy, when you're feeling down, you share it with your best friend or your parents. When you're feeling happy, you share it with your best friend or your parents. Allah, we could share our happiness and our sadness with Him, and He is there because He is the ultimate power, the ultimate listener, and the ultimate seer of what you're going through. So that's another way, inshallah, just to understand why we pray that way. Try to be in a place where you're not distracted. Don't pray in the living room where someone has the TV on or whatever. Try to pray where it's quiet, and try to warm up before you start. Stand there, recognize who you're praying to and why. Ask yourself, Ya Allah, please guide me about this one thing. Ya Allah, forgive me these sins in this salah. And then you say Allahu Akbar. And then you start, inshallah. There's so many other tips, but I don't want to take up the whole time. Yeah.
For the next question, this person asked, do you have any advice for increasing yaqeen and iman in Islam or in general after already loving the deen?
That's a beautiful question. So after already loving the deen, and maybe you're struggling with loving the deen, okay? Do people struggle with loving the deen? Absolutely. Do people struggle with sometimes even, believing that Allah exists? Yeah. Shaitan is there. He's doing his job 120%, right? And then we live in an atmosphere that all around us, there's all sorts of things that tell us about how, maybe your religion is backward or whatever. We get a lot of criticism, whether it's on the news or maybe, in public, right? We stand out, you guys, especially girls in hijab, right? Guys in beards without a kufi, they just look like, some guy who rides a Harley or something like that, right? But us girls in hijab, we definitely stand out. But a lot of the guys in beards, they do stand out, especially if they're wearing a kufi or something. Khalas, you are known, right? So sometimes that type of pressure gets to people. And what does shaitan do? He gets in from whatever door you let him in. Whatever weakness we have, he'll get there. He'll get through there. So how do we increase our yaqeen? Yaqeen is complete certainty in the existence of Allah, in the existence of the malaika, the believing in the prophets, the books, the day of judgment, our destiny, right? All of these things that we are 100% sure about this. How do we increase it? Number one, we ask Allah. Number one, if you're not going to do anything else, just sincerely, humbly turn to Allah and say, Ya Allah, bless me with yaqeen. Bless me with complete certainty about your deen and about all the realities that you've shown us through the Quran and through the Sunnah. Number two, we love what we spend time with. Okay? Also, we spend time with what we love. So if we love Allah and we want to make sure that we're completely firm in our belief in Him, then we need to spend more time with Him. We need to spend more time either in Salah. We need to spend more time with the letters that Allah sent us. Where are the letters Allah sent to each of us? The Quran, right? He sent us a 604-page letter. Has anyone in your life sent you 604 pages of anything? No, not me. Right? I didn't get that. Nobody loves me enough except Allah to send me a 604-page letter. Okay? We each have this letter from Allah, and we can read it and reread it and learn from it and keep layering and layering and layering until we die. It is this endless sea of guidance. So exposing ourselves to Allah, spending time with His 99 names. And thirdly, and then there's a fourth one, thirdly, spending time with the Prophet ﷺ. How can we love and be attached to someone we don't think about? Right? Think about all the actors that we're like attached to, or singers even. And we're looking up like, oh, I wonder who they're married to. And what's the next? Oh, they're coming out with the new movie and whatever. Why do we know everything about them? Because we have an attachment. So we go after information about these people because we feel connected. What did we say the word salah comes from? Connection. Allah already set it up so that we find connection with Him, right? So yaqeen comes from exposure, spending time with the Prophet ﷺ, with Allah, and the last part is spending time with other people who love Allah, who actively seek out Allah and His Prophet ﷺ. It makes a difference, you guys. And I know sometimes for your age, it's annoying when your parents are like, don't hang out with this person, don't hang out with that person. I have to tell myself, Amany, don't hang out with this person. It never ends. because we have to be responsible for ourselves. And I know that I will either be just uncomfortable around certain people, and worse than that, I'm afraid to be influenced by them. I don't care if I'm a teenager anymore. We're humans. We mimic each other. So I want to be around people who like, oh wow, she does qiyam. I really got to do something, right? Or wow, she memorizes Quran, or she goes and she finds entertainment that's clean, right, and fun, but it's within Islamic boundaries. I want to hang out with that person, right? Allahu alam.
And then we actually have one final question. So this person asked, how do I help guide my friend to drop the bad thing he or she does? For example, there are some acts that I don't necessarily agree with what he does. I know it's haram, but he gets annoyed when I try to advise him. So how do I properly go advising this person without taking the different avenues?
What do you mean taking the different avenues? Like falling into it?
For example, like when I come to someone and they're like, "Oh man, get off my back," you know, they shut away, they shut down. So
okay, this is tough. Subhanallah, it's never easy to give advice to someone who's doing something that's not good for them. It's never easy. It makes it worse the time that we live in, because everything counts as judgmental. Everything counts as judgmental. Let me tell you guys a little story. Okay, it's a history lesson. Back in the 90s, when I was a teenager, judgmental wasn't even a word, right? Nobody talked, because people were a little bit overly judgmental, right? So what happens in a community is when there's one imbalance, over time, the other imbalance pops up. So we went from being too judgmental, and now we flew all the way on this side where I can't say nothing about nothing to no one, because otherwise they're going to feel judged, right? Now, there is a way to talk to someone about what they're doing. Number one thing about it is you internally have to believe that they are not horrible because they're committing certain sins. You have to believe that inside of you. Otherwise, they're going to pick that up from you. They're going to be like, oh, she thinks I'm bad. He thinks I'm bad. So number one is actually, that's the judgment we don't want to engage in, which is you're going to hell. You are a bad Muslim. You are whatever. That's the judgment that has nothing to do with us. We don't do that. And we don't know, that's not true. We don't know where people are going. We don't know where we're going, right? But the second thing is, we need to become comfortable with people calling us out for the things we're doing that are not right. Good friends will call you out. They will call you out lovingly, gently, but directly. So if you have a friend who's telling you, listen, you're doing this and I see it, I feel like you're struggling. What can we do to help you so that you don't keep doing this? It's not good for you. I'm worried for you. I love you, right? They still might be annoyed, but you do your best. Maybe you can, I know this is like the worst thing that any kid wants to hear, or a teenager. Find an adult that can help them. You're like, but then I'm telling. If it's severe, for the love of God, tell. They'll love you when they're in their 20s and 30s. They'll thank you later. Okay? And you'll get hasanat for it. But in the meantime, you can't make someone hear you out. You can always try, be gentle, be loving, and you could only advise, and then it's up to them to do what they need to do. You could encourage them, be like, hey, I'm going to the masjid if you want to come with me, if you want to meet me up at the masjid. There's a halaqah here or there, you want to meet up. And just kind of go on the offense as opposed to reacting. You can, just add something to their life. Maybe that will help. Also, last thing, be careful that you don't get sucked in as you're trying to help them. I know you're like, no, I'm good. My iman is strong. I'm sure it is. But shaitan can be stronger sometimes. So watch yourself. Watch yourself. And if you need support to help this person, find that support. If you know you're not strong enough to help them, then you have to leave it alone. I know that sounds horrible, but you don't want to be drowning with somebody else. If you are not able to help and you know it'll compromise your Islam or your well-being, try to find someone else who can help. I hope that helps, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Ustadha. May Allah reward you for coming out. May Allah reward all of you guys for coming out as well. We're going to go ahead into the announcements. We just have a couple announcements for you guys. Like always, we do have a remind. So we do if we could go back, but he's speed running. Okay. For the remind, just text 81010, and then to this number, text Ignite MF1 just for our future reminders about different events that's going to be happening throughout this month and the next month. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we do have a full program scheduled for you guys in the month of Ramadan, so it'd be a shame to miss out on those. And then also for another form of communication, just follow us on our Instagram handles, ignite.mf, youth.mf, and the Mosque Foundation handle. I'm sure all of us already follow it, but for those who follow us, just make sure to go ahead and give us a follow, so you guys can keep updated on future events. And then we also have a event for the girls. So this is a game night tournament. Essentially, you can enjoy a night of fun games, extreme competition, and delicious food. So inshallah, it'll be a good time, good vibes for you guys. This will be Sunday, February 25th, 5:30 p.m. And this will be at the Universal School, which is across the street, inshallah. So inshallah, we'll see you guys soon. And then we don't have a dars for the Saturday of March 9th, but stay tuned, like I said, in our handles for upcoming days for the Ramadan program to be revealed. Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you guys for coming out. Inshallah, you guys can enjoy the refreshments, and we'll see you guys soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.